Hello, one and all. Welcome to another episode of the Nerd Day podcast. I'm your host, your doctor recommended dose of nerdiness, aka your Nerd Day, and I am joined here in a special episode. But we're gonna get that in one moment. So what we're gonna do first is you see the title, you see the image. We're getting into that one moment. We're gonna give a shout out to our Patreons. That's right. You can support me over at patreon.com/nerdaday. Yeah, it would be down below. You can click all the links down below for me. If you want to support me, throw a couple bucks this way. I'm going to give a shout out to people who make the show happen, like Hopefully Awesome, Matt and Maggie. Love you guys so much. Check out their show, Going Back to Smallville, and they have Going Back to Beast Wars leading up to Rise of the Beast Transformers. You got to check them out. They're awesome. Love them so much. Send my love. Send my love. Tell them Cloverfield's awesome. They're amazing people. And then we got Jeff Felsher. Again, I keep forgetting about the goddamn PS4. I got to give that to you. um, what's next? We got Susan, my sister from another mister. Thank you so much for supporting me and always as everything. We got Brandon as well. And then finally, actually, I'm not going to do that finally. I'm going to do a special shout out finally. But we have Rest Pass, who is my partner in crime over at April Work Podcast. You can check us out if you love professional wrestling. We have our latest episode is about who we think is going to be the new inaugural World Heavyweight Champion that just got revealed by WWE. And then a little bit of an update for CM Punk. And then finally, he's not on the tier for a shout out, but I'm going to give him a shout out anyway because he is fucking awesome. And his name is Harry Lazidas. He's from 6-1 Indie. He's supporting me at dollar level, which you can do as well, and that helps so much. But I'm shouting him out specifically because he is writing a book that is, I think, at this point, 70% funded on Kickstarter. I believe it's on. I'll have to find the link; it'll be down below. So don't worry about it right now. But it's about the psychology of Elden Ring. So he's one of the writers on there. He's a teacher out in NYC. He's fucking awesome. Just give him a shout out. Send him my love. Support the book. Especially if you love Elden Ring. Come on. What are you doing over here? All right. And then finally, we are going to kick it to the show proper. So I, on the Nerd Day podcast, have a special subsection of the podcast called The Meaning Of. So the first episode, technically, like the subsection of the podcast, The Meaning Of was The Meaning of Superman. Episode 50 of Nerd Day podcast, where I got to interview kind of funny CEO Greg Miller about what Superman means to both of us. And that's kind of the meaning of sections of the podcast, right? We talk about nerdy stuff that impacted our lives, that is special to us, and those memories that we hold dear. Next, we had Gina, who I got to interview for Minority Mental Health Month last year. I'll repost that episode when it comes time in June for that. But we got to talk about, minority mental health, how important it is as well. So that was nice. And now for our third meaning of subsection of this episode, we are talking about the meaning of Star Wars, and I'm going to transition over here. I am joined by a special guest, my nephew, Samuel. How are you, Sammy?
I'm good. I'm good. What's up, Los?
Not much, man. I'm so glad you shot me this message, which was nice.
Yeah, you want to know how this happened?
Go ahead, tell me.
I was going through TikTok and someone pointed out how, like, in the recent game for Jedi Survivor, how the lightsaber customization happened. Like how you could, oh, Cal really is not with a Jedi because Jedi really never customized a lightsaber, and it brought back some old memories from some old lore videos I used to watch and read about where the reason the Jedi didn't customize their lightsaber was because of the fact they hadn't to fight. That was a little fact, and also the fact that the reason the High Republic had so many different lightsabers and all that was because of the fact that they were constantly fighting wars between the Mandalorians, Jedi that were fallen, other wars between, like, I think in the recent game they referenced a group called like the Outer Rim Pirates or something like that. I didn't play the game yet. I don't want to spoil it, but they were fighting a group. There were rumors of the Sith and all that. Like, there were other things that were happening at the time. So that's how that happened. I'm like, I really want to talk about this. And I'm like, wait, Lowe's, May the 4th. Let's make a video together.
Yeah,
That's how that
that's
happened.
perfect. Yeah, so we're filming on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, Sam. And then there's probably post on Revenge of the 5th. um,
Yeah,
perfect couple days
that's
for that.
simple.
Or Cinco de
Yep.
Mayo, if you celebrate. But yeah, this is interesting. So, all right, before we get into the show proper, then I have a quick question for you. In Fallen Order, what was your? I can't remember all the customization options, but what was the color you went with for your lightsaber?
Oh. Fallen Order, when it first came out, chose I chose blue at first because that was a simple color. When I got the chance to customize, I did choose green was because of the fact that Luke was my favorite character,
Hmm.
and because of the fact that Luke's lightsaber and his like story. Because I read a little bit of comics. My father owns a couple of those comics. I've read those comics, watched the lore, and realized Luke did a lot to change the Jedi and a lot changed like the way people see the Jedi. They realized he was pretty much the I hate to say it, he was the guy that had to deal with the generational trauma of the Jedi afterwards.
Honestly, yeah.
So
Even we'll get into it more when we talk about
yeah,
like some of the newer sequels, that came out.
yeah.
But that's kind of referenced in Rise. There's a little bit of that. It's just it went in a negative way for him instead of the legacy books or the expanded universe where it went in a more positive way, you know. But that I
Well,
it's interesting.
I'm sorry, with the way that Dave Filoni's treating it, I feel as though he's going to try to fix that with the movies because the way the recent sequels are coming out and with everything going on, I think people are going to say that what's going on, they're going to retcon a lot of the new movies because the trilogy was not received well, and Dave Filoni, because of these last couple like series he's been doing, has been retconning or fixing the timeline to make things sense.
Yeah,
So
I
who
do
knows?
appreciate that. I like that he has kind of like a head, and it seems like, again, we'll get into it a little more later, but it seems like Lucasfilms has an idea of where they want to go, which is you could arguably say they did not beforehand. They're all three movies are completely disjointed, whether you like them or not. I'm just saying, like I have a feel like all three of them are disjointed. It's very
I hate to be
rough.
that guy. I hate to be that guy, but you could tell like they wanted JJ to do more. JJ was like, "I'm cool with doing this," and then when the recent like changes happened, like I want this new guy because Ryan Johnson is really good with. Because I'll say this, Ryan Johnson is really good with movies. Just don't touch let him touch Star Wars ever again.
See, I feel the opposite. I am along with I will say a fellow friend of the show, Christian Buckley. Actually, while we're talking about this, I forgot I put a questionnaire out there on Twitter. I'm gonna open that while I'm speaking. Again, yeah, we'll get into more. But I am actually one of the people who absolutely love. Um, was it Rise of the Jedi? Right? No, wait. What's his movie? What's it called?
It was
Why can't I
I
remember
think it
it?
was you see my reason why I can't remember that one. I remember I remember the
Force
Force Awakens
Awakens.
and then
Yes,
the Last Jedi. This one, I think was I think the second one was Rise of Skywalker.
that was the last one.
It was a lot.
That was the
That
last
was
one.
that was one. Oh, I did quote it. No, see, I get them confused because the second and third movie kind of blended at times with like what they were trying to do,
It was the Last Jedi.
and
Okay,
like
I was right. I was right. It was the Last Jedi.
Last Jedi wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah, it was the Last Jedi. Um, so yeah, the interesting thing with that is, hold on one second.
Dude, dude.
Sorry about that for video and audio listeners. My daughter just walked in, and I was like, "Who's opening the door?"
I
So yeah, I know. I was like, "You get out of here right now." Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So no, I was right. It was Last Jedi. No, I'm funny. I'm along with Christian Buckley from Tech Raptor. I'm a big fan of that movie. We'll get into that a little bit. So I find it interesting, and you picked green because Luke is your favorite. I I played around a little bit, so I did blue initially, right, and then I transitioned over to I want to say purple just because I love Mace Windu. Who
yeah,
doesn't? He's so awesome.
respect.
And then I finally settled on yellow, and this was before Rise of Skywalker. I actually settled on yellow
Mhm.
because I just like the lore behind the yellow lightsaber, where it's like it's temple guards, right? That's like the people who protect the Force, like in the
Yeah,
like.
that's the yeah that's pre-Empire. Yeah, that's that. But in the old way, I'll tell you a little fact I found out recently.
Mhm.
The gold lightsaber was really widely used in the High Republic era because of the fact that so many Jedi were Temple Guards or Guardians of the Force, not or anything like that. Very rarely were they using other lightsabers besides gold and blue and green. and the goal was the main standard. 'Cause I think in Jedi Survivor, I saw a trailer. You see a Jedi, one of the Jedi was using a gold lightsaber, and he was the one that was they're actually doing more exploring and all that. That's what the Temple Guards are also for. They designed supposed to be explorers.
Yeah, and
This would be the gold. That
it
was the idea of it.
funny enough too, and we'll get like obviously it's a spoiler, but it's a game that came out 3 years ago, and we're not going to spoil Jedi Survivor, but with Fallen
No, I
Order,
just saw that.
it kind of makes
It's already.
sense to me with Cal's decision at the end for him to have the yellow lightsaber. It was funny, like thematically, it made sense more now at the end when, especially what he does with the holocron. I was like, oh my god, dude, like that's insane. Like that, it fit more. I mean, I don't think there's a bad choice. I mean, you can go red. Who cares? This shit looks awesome.
When that came out, I was on red. Like, nope, that lightsaber. I don't care.
It looks so cool. Yeah, no, there's no wrong choice in that. But yeah, I don't know. It was funny when he destroys the holocron, letting the Force do what it will with the children. I thought that was very thematically perfect, especially as he did it in my game with the yellow lightsaber. And then yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
Rey's a perfect Jedi to have that color with where her trajectory is at the end.
I will say this: I don't think Rey is considered a Jedi really because she's not. She would just be a Force user, like the other and again in Fallen Order was the I think what was the name of the group that you're basically following? Like they're Force users, but they weren't dark side or light side. They were in the middle. I forget their name. The Zepho.
Oh
That's
yes,
how I
yes, yes,
remember.
yes. Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. That's
Zepho.
cool.
I think she's more like the Zepho or the Bendu, those who see the dark side and light side as not like the main choice. They are basically the cosmic reality of the fact that who chooses what you're pushing towards. Because remember, she had a bit of that dark side in her, and she saw that too far it can corrupt you. But there are times you need to be that kind of person to be dark. And she buried her lightsaber like, I'm done with this. Nope, the Jedi are done. Everything is done. It ended it like that. So
Yeah, I like that she buried Luke and Leia's. I thought that was really cute, and
Luke,
I
Leia,
love
and her like
her specifically, like transitioning
her
her weapon.
it looks Junkrat. It matches her style, the Junkrat kind of style. It looks like it was a bunch of pieces that she found on the Millennium Falcon or just somewhere and just pieced them together.
Yeah, I'm hoping with the next movie that doesn't change. Obviously, if it does, I will say that's specifically for us nerds who are like, I'm gonna go to Disney World and buy the new hilt, like, or kids, to buy a new toy, which is it's hard with Star Wars, right? Because like it does cater so much to a younger audience, which that's a good transition, right? I for I don't know if many people know about our history. I do talk about you guys obviously but
Yeah, you do.
yeah,
I think I referenced you with that, like how that happened. How I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's a
yeah, yeah.
ooh.
But we found each other because your mom, my sister, found me later in life. I did not know you guys actually growing up. Funny enough, but as soon as I met you, Adi, your dad, your mom, and then the brothers, I'm like, oh wow, I fit. This is where I belong. I belong with all of you.
Especially with me and Dad, you
Yeah.
clicked immediately.
Oh, and then you have Julian who like loves Naruto and stuff, which I got to hit him up about that because I just started rewatching.
Oh my God.
Actually, I'm watching Shippuden for the first time.
Yo, I'm being serious. Look up the
I
filler
know there's a lot. I'm gonna
episode.
go through it just
Yeah.
because.
No, look, Rose, look at me. There are actual seasons of just filler. There's seasons, man, of filler. You're like, come on,
Well, that's how it was with the OG,
relax.
which is funny that. And also, before we get back into the Star Wars, to
Yeah.
finish this little anime talk, I'm also currently watching. I'm watching Shippuden, and I'm watching whatever's new coming out, like Demon Slayer and stuff like that. But I'm also, for the first time ever, started One Piece. I picked the
Oh,
two
that
long ass animes to start.
list. Oh, too. Thankfully, that doesn't have any bad filler as far as
What
like, it has some filler that are
it
like,
has like 100
it's
episodes of filler from what I looked up, and there's 1,000 episodes. That's not bad, all things considered.
but considering the fact that the way Oda does like his penmanship
Hmm.
and how I'll be honest with you, the man puts out a chapter almost every week, and they're like 15 pages or something like that. I forget the exact thing, but they're a lot of pages, And that man does it almost every week. Like he did it every week
Yeah,
for like 25 years. The
I will
dude is
say
busy.
that man is a genius because I'm like all in. I'm completely all in. We'll talk off air about that too. I'll let you know what episodes I'm on and stuff. But yeah, so with our history, yeah, your mom, my sister, I love her so much. She found me later in life. So I didn't grow up with you guys, and I didn't because I would have been the fun uncle, the
Oh,
funkle,
you would have been.
and I would have been the fun uncle showing you guys Star Wars for the first time along with your dad and stuff like that, right?
No, I will be honest with you. Dad immediately, like when Phantom Menace came in, I was watching with him. When he got it, when he got the DVD, I was watching with him.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's yes. So not to be rude, but no. When Phantom Menace came out, I remember watching with Dad. Like Dad had me on the couch and he was watching it. And he
Hmm.
binge watched the movie nonstop. So I remember watching it, and he told me like, "Oh, that makes no sense." And as a kid, you think I remember sometimes he talked about like that doesn't make sense. I'm like, I don't remember that, or he was like, it's different out, whatever. And then as an adult, when you watch the prequels and then the sequels and then the movie, you're like, there's a lot of like, I was like, oh, now I get it. Oh, this is what it feels like to be dad. Ew, great,
Yeah.
I get it. I'm old now.
Yep, yep. That was like a weird full circle moment with the newer sequels, which we'll get into when we get to that section. But
I,
so, what was Phantom Menace your first exposure to Star Wars?
I think it's hard when you get older. I've noticed this that when it comes to my childhood, I was hyperactive, so I did a lot as a kid, which is watching my dad play games, playing with my toys, going outside. Like I did so much that thing about I'm like, what did I was my first experience? And I'm looking as I'm talking right now. I remember my dad had the GameCube and he was playing the little where you play the X-wing,
Rogue
the
Squadron.
X GameCube.
The,
Yeah, Roll Squad. I remember
fucking
dad playing
amazing,
that.
great game.
Rogue Squadron. Dad had the I think it's Academy. Yes, the Jedi Academy. The first trilogy after like the OG games
Mm-hmm,
when
mm-hmm.
when he moved to PC and like Xbox and PlayStation. The Jedi Academy. He played that Battlefront. Like all these games, I remember Dad playing, and I played later.
What
But
about
when it came to
KOTOR?
movie watch, Tour, no, he didn't play that because he didn't. He
He's not a
Dad,
big
no,
RPG
Dad,
person. Yeah.
he's not a big RPG, but he did play like the fun like movie based games, whatever.
Hmm.
I remember the first thing I ever watched was Phantom Menace and loving it because like, oh, this is cool. Oh, it's fun.
It's
And then you
perfect for
watch
your
it now, like,
generation. It really is.
I hate this. It's so
Yeah.
bad. It seems like it's so bad. I prefer
I
the
will
old.
hold firm that Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman are probably the best parts of those movies. And Natalie Portman
Yeah.
is like a second, only because Ewan McGregor is so good. And honestly, funny enough, I would question to say Hayden Christensen. I'm not a fan of him in those movies. Whatever direction he got in Obi-Wan was what was
Oh
needed that
my.
whole time because him and also picking up now that I'm also been watching Clone Wars for the first time.
Oh, I
Picking
gotta
up,
find
yeah,
that.
picking up,
That's gonna do that. Recommended.
yeah, picking up where he like studying what Matt does in the
Mhm,
Clone Wars series. Hayden does a
mhm,
really good job and gets better direction. That's what he needs the whole time.
mhm,
He needs better direction because I remember, not a Star Wars related movie, but there's a movie called Takers with it's like Ti. It's Idris Elba. It's Hayden Christensen, Paul Walker. They play brothers, and it's all these bank robbers. And I think Chris Brown's in it. It's all these robbers and stuff. It's really cool, really, really fun movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. And Hayden has fun in it alongside Paul Walker and the rest of the crew, and he does pretty good in it. And I was like, oh, that was like the first exposure. Like, oh, if he has a really competent director, you can get gold
mhm,
from him. You can get stuff, at least fun stuff from him. He's similar to a Paul Walker in that sense. If you got someone good who knows how to play off of him, you got a good because
mhm.
Obi-Wan, I honest to God, those he did great. To me, he did great. But in episode 2 and 3,
I will say this because even when I was watched when I was younger when episode two came, I did not like two. I honestly didn't like two much about it when he had his scenes. Even as a young kid, I kind of zoned out of it. But the moments I liked were like we had Samuel Jackson and you had like the clones fighting in this huge battle. Like I'm used to that. And then part three, I liked it more because of the fact that he kind of felt like he was supposed to.
Hmm.
Like he felt cocky, but he felt like he had experience in the beginning of the movie. But when he kind of went to the dark side and became kind of whiny, I kind of hated him. I'm
Yeah.
like, please die. Like, as a kid, and this is me as a kid. Like, please just end this movie. And then I didn't realize, wait, no, this is what's happened before. And then you got to think about Vader. Like, oh, this is what he turned into. Great choice. And you're like, no offense to Hayden because he was in the movie Jumper. He was good. If you watch Jumper, he was not bad. He had fun. Then he
Yeah.
kind of discovers power, realizing I can do this. Him being an asshole, then realize, wait, this is being too far. Especially when he meets his mom, he has his moments where he's like hurting because he realizes his mom was trying to kill him, and he realizes the reason why his dad tried to control him was the fact he didn't want him to get hurt. He's like, damn, now he knows why his dad like this, and you see him be a better person.
Yeah.
Like if you get him, like he was good at Jumper. I don't know what people were like. No, he was not bad at Jumper. The powers kind of made sense. That you
Yeah.
jumped around, but they had limits.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that movie per se, but I don't think his performance is horrible. I think probably at the
No,
time I
no.
was probably shitting on him because it was like the fun thing to do, but it's not fair, a shitty young adults.
I feel bad for the kid that played little Annie. He got
Yeah.
really reading. He got horribly bullied.
And that's
Like I still, I
yeah. That's not fair. Yeah, Jake Lloyd, man. Yeah, that's not fair because it's
uh,
so difficult to find a child actor, and that's not to diminish like a lot of child actors out there. I always think about how lucky Chris Columbus was
yeah,
getting
it was
Ron,
tough.
Harry, and Hermione because those
Yeah,
kids
okay.
are
Uh,
amazing as child actors, and they grew up to be even better adult actors. Like that, they got so goddamn lucky with those movies with most of the child actors.
oh,
Yeah.
let's not talk about what's going, especially now with Hollywood. We know about Hollywood now and what they did to those kids back in the day, especially the rumors and all that. And you realize, damn, these kids got really messed up.
Yeah, man.
Well,
No,
exactly.
I was not
But
an easy
going
place
back,
for children.
but going back to the Phantom Menace, the
Hmm.
person who played Jar Jar Binks in the recent Mandalorian, that is the biggest show of you deserve this role, do not
Hmm.
deserve Jar Jar. As a kid, I didn't like Jar Jar as a kid. Honestly, like anytime he was on, I kind of skipped. I found out when I found out older to skip the skip scenes.
Yeah.
Anytime Jar Jar was in, I was skipping it.
Yeah,
Like
and it,
I like him better in Clone Wars because he was only in there for like a few minutes and his comedy made sense.
no, and it's funny because it his treatment with the prequel series is what came around for me that I can separate. Like, it's not fair to the actor to diminish the actor at all. Absolutely not, because it's not
Yeah.
their fault. They are given a direction to do whatever. So Jar Jar is an annoying character. It's a character I hate, honestly, and it's not his fault. He is doing everything in that role that he was given to do, and honestly, if you think about it, he's fucking excelling at his role. It's just that character is to me is not great. That's not his fault. He's doing good. And then look at his redemption in The Mandalorian. And
Oh
hell, even before that, just hosting a kids show as that character.
my. Yeah, he was. Everyone when he did because I think he did voice in Clone Wars, right? Or was that someone else? I can't remember if it was him or not.
He's done a
But
lot of Star Wars stuff since. Like he's in
yeah,
everything since. But
yeah,
yeah, he specifically is the same character in The Mandalorian that he is on the kids, like whatever Disney Plus kids game show.
yeah.
It's like Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of cute. But what I love is the fact of I didn't have that experience with like actors. Like I
Mhm.
don't hate on actors instead if they do like really heinous shit. Like I'll call out Ezra Miller. I'll call out the recent guy who played Creed or Kane the Conqueror. If you're a piece of shit, I don't care. I don't want to see you. I don't see your movies, nothing, because I don't want to support the fact that you're doing something and for the horrible things you've done.
Yeah.
I think Weinstein, most Weinstein movies, I ignore. Like a lot of movies, I don't watch anymore in games I don't play because of the fact that when I realize they're supposed to be actors, I'm like, nope, that's my opinion. Like you do something bad, I don't want to enjoy it because I feel bad. I know for a fact I'm enjoying someone who did horrible things.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that's my mindset. But when it came to like Jar Jar, I didn't hate the character, didn't hate the actor. Like I'm that person. Like I can hate the characters. I would never hate the actor because I know for a fact, even as someone who did plays and like I did plays as a kid because you have to be forced to. I hate doing it. I'm like thinking about that as a kid. And now, mom can tell you, I'm mature for my, I was mature for me. So I thought of a lot of things that most people didn't think of. So as a kid, I realized I shouldn't hate this actor. It's not his fault playing this person. He got stuck in the role. Even as a kid, I thought that. So I didn't hate the actor. I was thankful that I was in that generation. Do I hate Ray? No, I don't hate Ray. Do I hate um, Finn? No, I hate the fact he got screwed over.
Yeah.
I hate the fact.
No, that is
Like, I also
rough.
say, do I think Ray is Mary Sue? No, I think that they rushed her character. Do I think the actress did great what she had? Yes. Do I hate Finn's character, John Boyega? No, I felt so bad for him. Like he had potential to be someone else. You could have had him be someone like even if you wanted to do a legacy character, have it to be connected to Lando or someone like one of the kids that were taken as an orphan. You could have had that moment where you realized Lando found his son. You could have had a weird moment where Lando found his son again when he saw Finn, and there's a moment he didn't say anything and he tries to keep him to himself. But he tells Finn his real name, and Finn remembers, like, yeah, that's my name. How you know my name? And he just walks away. You could have great moments like that. Like, oh wow, this is a. Like, you could have had so many good moments with Finn, especially when he picked up a lightsaber in the Force Awakens. You're like, is he a Jedi? Can he do
Oh my
that? And he's
god,
starting
yeah.
to do some moves. When he was doing moves to fight Kylo, he wasn't trained in nothing. But
And he
and
still
then
gets a hit
he
on
could
him
have had,
too.
he gets hits on him, and he blocks some of his moves. It's like, and then people kind of point out, like, yeah, Ray picked up and she nearly got it. I'm like, yeah, you can chalk it up to she has more connection to the Force. Finn didn't, but Finn had some connection. You could have had it to where that the reason why she got that ability because she saw that Finn picked it up and she got that drive to pick to save him.
Hmm.
That thing opened her up to the Force. You could have had it. You could have had it in the Last Jedi that Finn starts feeling the Force and starts freaking out. You could have had great moments to realize a person who has never had to deal with the Force for so long now feels it and it hurts. Like
Hmm.
with Cal Kestis in Fallen Order, anytime he had a vision or a memory of using the Force power, it hurt him. You saw him get like he's in pain. Or there's moments where he had the visions. He was scared. He's like trying to calm himself down because that
Yeah.
affects you. Your body's opening up to something. You could have so much great potential with that. That's the main issue I had
Yeah,
with
and
the sequels. That there's potential and it fell flat.
that's where someone like Dave Filoni, who is perfect in the role where he's at right now, can steer. You know, to steer the series to be like, hey, I was thinking about doing this. Like, actually, that wouldn't work with what we set up in the Force because of this, this, and that. You know, like that. That's where he's so perfectly there in that role. So get back to bring this back to finding it. So one of your earliest memories is Phantom Menace. That's funny, and it was on DVD. So for me, growing up in the '90s, I did. I think I saw the re-releases in theaters, if I remember correctly, with the 3D and stuff. Where it's like, and Jabba's the 3D. It looks so rough and stuff like that. But for me, every Christmas, USA Network would have like, I swear to God, like a Lucasfilm
Um,
marathon. So it'd be like
USA.
Indie in the morning, all three of those, and then all three of the original trilogy of Star Wars, and that would be my Christmas day if I wasn't playing video games. You know?
For me, it was actually Sci-Fi or TNT. And they had the movie section going on. I couldn't watch the shows because I was too young. Dad would just look up shows or like whatever was on like the movies was like when they started doing the ad movies like Indiana Jones. I saw Indiana Jones. I remember correctly. I saw Indiana Jones on the TV
Yeah.
on Sci-Fi, and then it's the actual movie. I remember correctly. But no, from what I remember of the Phantom Menace, once I got a first experience with Phantom Menace
Hmm.
was Maul. To this day, I had nightmares when I was a kid when Maul showed up. That today to my when he showed up and he had that look like he had the cowl on, he had the like demonic face,
Hmm.
and he said nothing. He just took the cowl off, and you saw the two Jedi like, we gotta fight this guy. You get away. This is our fight. And he saw him put the lightsabers on, and he just does the stance. Like, what is that? And he saw one blade. I'm like, oh, he's gonna fight. I thought he was gonna fight a weird way. No, it's all staff. And you see the reaction, like, like that's new. And that's when, and that was scared me as a kid because he's just quiet, but you can see that evil in him.
Hmm.
As in, and that scene, I hate to say it, a lot of the cringe scenes with Anakin and Padme, oof, to this day, I still feel like I feel George Lucas was like trying to warn people about Hollywood with that one.
Yo, in
Those scenes
Phantom
are
Menace, yeah, because Padme is supposed to be like
like
way
if they
younger.
they should have honestly had it to where you know what they could have done. You could have had had it like the same actress for Padme,
Hmm.
but have a little kid with her, and Anakin talks to the little kid more, and then you realize, oh no, that's, and then you realize like as he grew up, she looked just like what you call it, like Padme's like basically a mother. You could have something that made it like less cringy.
Yeah, that
Like he had
it.
like his first like he saw she was beautiful, and then talked to the daughter more, and as they grew up, that's when it kind of made more sense that they kind of grew up more,
It
and
was
they kind of
difficult
connected more.
because Padme is I think canonically supposed to be like 14 or 15.
Yeah, but she looks like 20 or 30. I'm
Exactly,
sorry,
because
I'm not.
Natalie Portman is, and that's fine, and it's not a bad 20 or whatever. You know, she just she you could tell is an adult playing a 14-year-old, similar to Tom
So
Welling
here's
being
the thing.
24 playing Superman, who's 14 in Smallville.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
but
look
with
like
that,
that at 14. So
no, it's like at 14, I looked like horrible.
yeah, and I
I
think
was doing
Anakin is
acting like
supposed to
you.
be canonically what 10, 9 or 10 at that time.
Head, head, but
So
he
there's a
looks like he's
4 year
five.
difference technically. Yeah.
But he looks like he's five. If I don't know if I pause right there. I'm gonna
No, no,
call
no, no.
back.
You're fine.
Okay. But he looks five, and it's really cringy as he watches as an adult. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
But I remember pod racing. Pod racing was a good, fun little thing, and
Pod
it kind
racing
of
is
hinted
the
at.
fucking coolest thing. I'm not even gonna lie. It is the coolest goddamn thing. And then
And that they did it. They're not making like. And then I realized let's not do that because of everything going on with like everyone making copies of like racing games and like all these like other like the trying to make copies of Super Smash Bros. Like I'm glad that I'm actually glad that Disney and Lucasfilm didn't go that route of making a pod racing game. They probably did, but it was just so bad no one played it.
no, no, no. It's pretty good. It's right now. So funny enough, as we're recording this, it just got released on Games with Gold on Xbox. Episode 1 Racer. You could play as Anakin, Sebulba, all this stuff. It's pretty fun. It came out for PS1 originally. It got remastered, I believe, a year or two ago for Xbox One and PS4. So you can play that right now. So if you have Games with Gold, anyone listening or watching right now, get it. It's fun. Try it out, Danny. Try it out after this. Um, it's fun.
I'm stuck on racing games. I can't play them.
Now,
For some reason, I noticed this. I can't rate. I can't do racing games, but unless it's like mission oriented, like actual mission I have to do it, I'll play it. Get frustrated when I'm done with it. I scream in happiness. I don't have to do it racing. I hate racing.
see, no, and it's very, it's like cart. It's almost like cart based, almost like Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing, similar to that. That's how it kind of plays.
Oh, man, suck.
Yeah. Oh no. Now everyone has turned off the podcast at that point. No,
Dude,
but
like, yeah.
we also so with the original movies growing up in the 90s, I watched those like I said every Christmas, and then they would play them obviously throughout the year, but like I clearly remember Christmas being the day that they would show it and watching it so much. And then as I got older, we started hearing buzz of a new Star Wars movie, and I was already all in. And I would at this time I was collecting and buying Wizard magazine. So I would buy and read Wizard magazine. They were started talking about, and it was like, oh, it's called the Phantom Menace. We saw trailers. That dual lightsaber is in the first trailer, I believe, along with Duel of the Fates.
Yeah,
So like it was
yeah.
epic, man. And you see Darth Maul, and you're like, this guy's gonna be it. He's gonna be the main. He's the new Darth Vader. He's like he looks edgier. He's like crazier, and he is not in that movie that much. I mean, he's in Clone Wars, so I can't wait to see him again.
You want to know why he's in Clone Wars? Because I kid you not, and this is look up Sam Witwer's anyone in the podcast, look up Sam Witwer. He talked about when he did the Clone Wars and how Dave Filoni talked to him about Maul, and like they talked about it, and there was rumors about Maul coming back because of the fact they were introducing the Night Sisters. They were introducing a lot of like the like what happened with Maul, his apprentices. They were talking about apprentices with the Sith, like how there's so like why there's so many apprentices but no masters, and you realize the rule two. And what happened with that was Dave talked to Sam Witwer about coming back, and he was like, "What do you think about Maul coming back?" He's like, "You can do it. It'd just be really weird, but you're gonna have to make a good story." Like, okay, all right, good. See you later. Then Sam gets a call for it, and it's Maul, and he had to actually do research on like the voice of the person who played Maul,
Oh, Peter
like how
Sarah
smooth.
Finowitz. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
the one who does like, and it's funny. Peter Seraphis does all has. I think he's also Snake Eyes in GI Joe.
No, no, no.
So fun fact with that.
So
Oh,
Ray.
you
No, no, no. So yeah, Ray.
Ray, I don't know why I got confused.
Yeah, he's technically only just a physical body, which he doesn't have a horrible voice, but he's so physically gifted. He is Maul. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not. When it comes to the the OG lore, I'm bad at and actors. I really
Mm-hmm.
am not good with the actors and who plays them. But when he talked about how Ray and what you call it, when he was talking, when he was doing their voices and trying to copy like their grunting, how he kind of went into like the idea of what he'd be like, and it's kind of and he kind of talked about how the fact that when he was younger, what happened if Maul came back and they kind of talked about doing it, and they kind of and he that's how he got into voice acting was voicing the idea of what Maul sound like.
He's amazing. I love. I'm a big Sam Witwer for obviously because of why can't I think of the name of the game? Star Killer,
Force
Force
Unleashed.
Awakens, Force Unleashed
Force
one,
Unleashed.
Force Unleashed one. Amazing game,
Me too.
amazing insane. Part two, a lot of fun till the end. A lot of fun till the end. Only because it just doesn't make sense.
Um, yeah.
But
I will say this.
mhm.
Uh, go ahead.
No, I
Go
was
ahead. Go
gonna
ahead.
say like it's just really cool to see his career, whether it be like live action acting, because I think he's amazing in that as well. He's Doomsday in Smallville, or
Yeah,
his voice work is just he's astounding. He needs more work. I need him to see in more stuff. He's great in The Mist.
because you know why, right? Because he refuses to ever be held down through trying to make himself trying to puff up his chest and try to be out there so much. He says, "I'll wait for whatever when it comes to me." He was in a podcast recently with the Lex Luthor, the guy who played Lex Luthor in
Oh
Smallville.
yeah, Inside of You. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was in talk about how like when he was younger, he never like he tells about the fact that he never tries to overdo things or try to push himself out there because he knows that it's wasting your time because people are people and he wants to if they want him they pick him if not he just finds something else and he got lucky with Stevie said he got lucky with being human and then doing Force Unleashed because Force Unleashed they showed his acting potential
Mm-hmm.
and that game blew up. That's what he got being human, and from being human, he was just like, I'll do whatever. And he did like all the cameos, and cameos and other things. And then when he got to, I think, the second game, right before the big Lucas arc and like Disney merger, and he was like, and then win. And that's when Dave Filoni came up to him like, hey, can you voice Maul? Like, yeah, sure, I can voice. Voice. Can you do a voice for it? Yeah, sure. I think it was either Palpatine or just the brother voice. I forget because I know he did. No, it was Palpatine because
Mm-hmm.
he voiced Palpatine in the Force Unleashed games.
Yep.
So so he voiced a lot of Palpatine in the games,
No, he's
which is
crazy
funny.
talented, man. I'm a huge fan. I love how integrated him and Freddie Prinze Jr. happen to be within the Star Wars community. You can tell they both love like nerddom. Like it's not fake for them. Like they do love like this.
I mean, funny enough with Freddie Prince, when him and Sam Witwer were like together, they did a nerd off. I think Sam won by like 1 point or something like that.
I believe it. No, honestly, I
They're
believe it.
they're so connected with like they did podcasts and like interviews together to talk about why they think like the sequels are not great, but they're not bad. Like they point out like there's some things that are like whatever, and they're like, but you got to remember it's not for your generation, it's for the next generation.
No, that's exactly that's a good point too. So I wanted to loop back to the talk of the prequels. So how old were you when you saw the because the DVD obviously I think I owned the VHS and I saw Attack of the Clones in theaters.
If
2005 I
I'm
know is when Revenge of the Sith came out.
that's 2005 for Revenge of the Sith. I was like, so 2005. I was 5, 6, 7, 8, like I'm 97, so 98, 99, 2000. So I'm 3 years. So that was like I was seven, like 7 or 8 when Revenge of the Sith came out.
Okay.
I was young when Attack of the Clones and what you call it came out.
Phantom Menace.
I that's what I don't remember. I don't remember much of them. I just remember Dad had DVDs and I watched them with him.
Yeah, I think
When I got
for
older,
yeah for me on watching the original trilogy, I I couldn't tell you like the earliest. Like I don't remember what year, day. Like I have like bits and pieces here and there, but I
Yeah,
remember like the more I watch, the more like, oh, this is Empire because this happens. Oh,
yeah,
the Ewoks are in this one, so that is Return of the Jedi.
yeah.
Oh, and there's an Ewoks TV show. I'll watch that. Uh,
I'll do that.
I was like, that's how old I am. That's dating myself. There's a cartoon. Oh, I'll watch the Ewoks cartoon. Yeah, sure. It's got C-3PO and R2-D2. You know, I'll watch that.
Uh, I remember. I actually remember because of the fact of I really got into Star Wars through Attack of the Clones because of Count Dooku. Count Dooku. Like honest to God, he was an interesting person to watch fight because he was old, but he had this movement of like he is a master. He is like trained, and
Yeah.
I think he was so confident.
Every movement he has is purposeful.
Yes, I think another thing was because of the fact that around that time I was watching like Dragon Ball Z and like a bunch of shows. I remember like the old man is probably the badass character in this entire show. Watch out for
Roshi,
him.
Dr. Gero, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, watch out for the old man. But no, I love the way he moved and the way he talked because he was cocky, and many times he pointed out their flaws. And he kind of, and even to this day, I like those kind of characters that are villains, but they're villains to the fact that they got screwed over in life.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to
True.
them that became villains. I prefer those villains. Like Magneto is a huge villain I love because of the fact that you realize he's not a villain because he wants to be. He has to be the villain because it's a real life. There are people who don't care for a lot of people out there, and he's the one that's to show them like, yeah, I'm a victim, and I'm not going to be a victim ever again. That mentality,
Mm-hmm.
if he does push it too far. But for Dooku, I loved his lightsaber. His lightsaber looked so cool. His like the way it looked, I loved it.
Yeah, I love
And I
the
had the
curve.
lightsaber.
Like, yeah, the hilt of it, the
Yeah,
curvature of it. It's really cool.
yeah, Dad got the lightsaber. We played with them when I was younger. I was so mad when he died in part 3, but I'm like, oh, I get it.
That was badass way to go,
No,
though, man. He got, like,
I wasn't even mad at him when he took off Anakin's his hand. I'm like, oh, he's badass. And then when Yoda came in, like, oh, he's gonna crush the green guy. No, it was a duel of the fate. Like they were all going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, oh, Yoda's the old man of the Jedi. Okay,
that the
that's how
cool
my mind.
my cool experience with that, because I loved the original trilogy, and then watching the prequels, I was in this weird between thing, right? So like there's so much I liked about it, but I could see a lot of the flaws in it, right? So like
That
a lot of people hate it. Like a lot of the older generations. So I have Brandon, who I mentioned, I believe in the Patreon, a Patreon producer. And he's a cousin of mine. I love him to death. He's older than me, so he hated the prequels. He's that generation. He's like the one. He's like, I hate the prequels, and I was like, oh, I love Yoda versus Dooku. He's like, that is trash. Like he just did not like it because it was like too much. At least Brandon, please correct me if I'm wrong. Send me a text message. Also, hey man, did you work on that thing for me? Anyway, um, uh,
people are going somewhere there.
yeah, no, he's probably sleeping right now. Man. He's got to wake up early. But I remember him like just not being a fan of it, if I remember correctly too. And that's like that's that disconnect, right? It's a generational disconnect. And then as I got older, like Revenge of the Sith is the best to me out of those prequel trilogies.
It's
Um,
the best out of the series, and I'll say that. It's a probably I if I had to rank the series as like from what I saw as a kid, Phantom Menace was cool, but it was like for me even as a kid. Because remember I talked about Anthony Jar Jar was one thing, I just skip it.
hmm.
Clone Wars really didn't have that much with Jar Jar, which I loved. He didn't have that much with Jar Jar in the sequels. He really didn't have that much in them. I didn't like Anakin, so some parts I would skip, and some parts I would like go back and like, what the hell did I miss? Like, okay, that's sad. Oh, him killing the, oh, he's bad. Oh, I don't like him. And then watching the clones just like descend onto the planet, and the march of the clones, like,
Uh, it's
oh,
such a
these
cool
guys.
visual.
And then you just see like the battalions of clones. As a kid, I'm like, where are they going? And then you go to the Geonosis, I'm like, they're gonna kick ass. And like, oh, this is cool. As an adult, when you watch that, I'm like, oh, they're gonna genocide them to death.
Yep.
As a kid, because when I watched it recently, because I rewatched it, because I'm like, I'm bored when we watch the movies. I heard that the Imperial March when they did a bit of the Imperial March when they showed the clones. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, this is a cue for the old generation now.
Hmm.
They're the bad guys. Remember, they become the bad guys later. That's
Yeah,
the hint.
Lucas
Do
does a
you watch?
great job of referencing like, or if you're just watching, I guess the prequels,
Yes,
foreshadowing what's going to
really,
happen. He
even
did. I would
Easter
say
eggs.
he's good at that because he did have the plan in his head, right? So he did have an idea of
He
what he
did.
wanted to, what points he wanted to hit and
Mhm.
stuff. It's just a little too CGI and a little mangled at the end. Um.
Yeah.
So then, when the sequel trilogy is finally announced, what are your thoughts? Like when you first hear about it?
Well, for Force Awakens and all that.
Yeah, yeah. When Disney announced it.
Well, remember this is around the time that Clone Wars and Rebels were, I think, because I think Rebels finished up right before the sequels came out. And I got really into Clone. Dad got really into Clone Wars because of me, because he heard about Clone Wars. Like, what's this Clone Wars? I'm like, oh, it's a sequel or it's a prequel between it's prequel. Like, what do you mean? It's like animated show, but like what happens with Anakin? Because Dad at first didn't like Ahsoka. He didn't. I also remember. I remember for a fact, Dad did not like the idea when he heard Ahsoka Anakin had an apprentice. He's like, no, Anakin's a Jedi Knight. He's not a master. A master, and he's too young. Like,
Hmm.
Dad did not like the idea. Now he loves Ahsoka.
Oh no,
Like
Ahsoka's
that was
great.
part of
Yeah.
that was a part of that generation. They didn't like it at first because he didn't know the context. Because Dad saw me watch it one day. He's like, "What's this?" Like, "Oh, it's Clone Wars. It's really fun. It's really good." He's like, "Ah," but then he sat down and watched me because I think I was sick. I think I was sick or something. And I just stayed up watching it. He watched me watching. He's like, "Yo, this is really good." I'm like, "Yeah," because you see Yoda being a badass, see Mace Windu fighting, and see his time being teased between the dark side and the light side. You see Anakin when he's being like he actually acts like a master, has to like calm himself down and calm Ahsoka down. You see Obi-Wan just being Obi-Wan, and
Yeah.
it's really
Matt
good when you
kills it
watch that.
as Anakin too. Like he does such a great job. He made
Yeah,
me even I'm on right now, I think episode 4 of season 2. And I've seen like a couple episodes here and there, but like I'm watching it full through for the first time. And
that got. I'll say
Matt
this.
is the
That got
reason why
lucky.
Anakin is a cool character, honestly.
Yeah,
Like him and Filoni created an Anakin that makes sense. Like the Anakin you hear about, right?
yeah. But I will say this. I'm kind of mad because when I saw it through the special, the animated special. We had Anakin just like starting out as like it's like the first episode. If you don't know what Clone Wars, I'll say this: the a lot. I noticed a lot recently with a lot of cartoons. They were when Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers were like releasing episodes of like TV shows at the time. They were just releasing whatever episode was done
Yeah.
or whatever episode was left first. So I got disjointed because the first episode I saw was sorry, my throat was going out a little bit. So I'm talking so loud. I think it was a quick sip of like the drink. My throat was going. Sorry.
Yeah, this episode is brought to you by Lidl.
Oh yeah, cheap soda is great, but
It's not though. Please, I need groceries. They're cheap.
they are we're poor.
Yeah.
But no, the first episode I saw, it just had, if I remember correctly, was oh, it was the special, the hour long special of Return of the Clone Wars to show off, but they had it disjointed because I didn't watch the first episode. So the second episode, I just see Anakin near Jabba the Hutt's palace, and them fighting Dooku, and then like I was so confused. Later on, when they started like organizing the episode by season and all that, and
Hmm.
watching it, it's a great show. I'll say this: watch it when it's supposed to be organized. It's amazing. When you don't watch it when it's not organized, it's confusing as hell.
Yeah, I know. I've seen Barrett Courtney from Kind of Funny had a whole episode guide of the best way to watch it, and I've
Yeah,
considered doing it. I've considered it doing that way, but I'm also I was like, you know what, I this is like the old
with
man in me. I don't know. I'm like, should I just watch everything through? We talked about it with Naruto. You know, we'll talk about it off air, but I'm like, I should I just go through it? And like I said, now I'm on season 2. Season 1 was a little rough for me. Season 2, I'm digging. Cad Bane is a badass, honestly. Like I always heard that Cad Bane's awesome, and then I finally saw him in Book of Boba Fett. I'm like, oh my god, Cad Bane, and then he obviously doesn't make it. I was like, I want to know more about this guy. And I'm seeing him, I'm like, dude, Cad Bane's the shit. Like Cad Bane is a badass man.
yeah. But a lot of things with I'll say this when I'm gonna call out Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network killed a lot of shows.
Green
Cartoon
Lantern,
Network had
man.
like a lot of shows. Green Lantern, Green Lantern is one of them. I'm talking about Samurai Jack,
Yep.
Desperate Laboratory, Codex Explorer. Like a lot of shows died out or never got sequels. Symbiotic Titan, I'll call them out on that forever because that was the show that got me into like the idea of like dark storylines that can be like dark, like had story, like actual good characters and all that. But that's Gendy because Gendy's great at what he does. Who, fun enough, I'm bring reason I'm talking about Gendy is because of the fact of one of my favorite animated episodes was Gendy Taraski's prequel to the Revenge of the Sith, the prequel animated episodes, the
Oh, the
minisodes that happened
the
on Cartoon.
yeah, the Clone Wars. They were called they're the original Clone Wars. Yeah, I
That was the original Clone
remember
Wars.
going. I think I pre-ordered it at FYE in the gallery, and I pre-ordered the DVD and I binged that because I caught like an episode here or there. But I think like something would happen. And I was like I fell asleep or something, so I've missed so much. That Mace Windu one where he it's just I think it's just silent and he just goes in and takes out like the whole battalion of robots is
Yeah,
probably one of my favorite things ever.
my favorite is of that episode is Obi-Wan versus the Merc. I forget his name, but the one that can heal itself,
Oh
and we
yes.
see the ARC troopers like how they fight and how they're like organized. Like the ARC trooper episode where they're like silent, like these are the spec ops guys. These are guys that get shit done. The the heavy troop like that. Obi-Wan fighting the mercenary that can just heal itself and just has like its tentacles is like an abomination. That's a great episode I remember. And the last episode I remember, and Mace Windu was another one. But my favorite, honestly, is when we see the hints of Anakin becoming Darth Vader. The many episodes we see of Anakin slowly getting corrupted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First time we see it is when he fights Ventress as the Padawan and kills her, which we later was realized that actually I think that's still canon that he fought her, but he didn't kill her. He threw off, but she survived because she does come back. Because remember, after he beat Ventress, he becomes a knight. He becomes a Jedi Knight, if I remember correctly.
I believe you're correct. Yeah, yeah. That one's hard because that's very loose of what's canon in that. If any, yeah, it's like Grievous getting hurt. That's canon because he talks
Yeah,
about it and how much he hates Windu as well.
yeah.
But that's like
But
barely canon.
yeah, I remember. But when we see that hint, and then later on when we see Anakin helping those alien people, and we see that Anakin doesn't know their speak their language, but he feels a connection to the people because they're all women and children who have lost their fathers. Anakin never had a father. Anakin never had an adult, and the only adult he had was Qui-Gon for a minute, but he died. And then he had Obi-Wan, who basically was like a brother, like a bigger brother. He didn't really tell him anything, but he remembers the idea of not having a father and being raised alone. And he kind of had that moment where he wants to help them. Like I did like that aspect. But when we see like the visions of like the idea of like, hey, there's this ancient myth that one of the warriors got infected with something, and that something gave him power. But the more power he had, the more victories he had, it corrupted him slowly, 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 until one day he killed a person he loved and became the monster. And I love that aspect where you see Vader's face for a minute, like
Mm-hmm.
a brief moment when it has that vision. And then later on, when Anakin loses his arm because he's trying to protect his people, the abomination. He didn't. I remember he didn't kill any of the abomination. He realized they're the people. He can't kill them. He tries to. He heard him. He's gonna kill him. But then he gets angry because he sees someone like trying to break free, trying to help him. He couldn't do it, and he got his arm like blown off something. He gets so angry, he crushes the scientist's like head with the force, without his moving his robotic hand. His robotic hand became that like his anger showed. He's becoming Vader slowly, and I love the fact that he showed like that ability because they had that myth of that person, that legendary warrior that had that weird power that can crush you without having an arm, and they all like kind of realized, oh, he's that warrior, he's that general, he's that person to save, he's our savior. But there's a hint of Vader in that moment
Yeah.
because when he does it, he's never smiling. He's angry and he's cold, and it's like those moments where he comes that coldness, that anger is the best. Especially when Matt did it in the Clone Wars, because it shows that this is something that the Jedi were ignoring
Mm-hmm.
purposely. I swear to God, they're purposely ignoring it because they could feel those moments when he was getting darker. There's a moment when he tortures a Geonosian because remember they're immune to Jedi mind tricks. They're very immune.
Mm-hmm.
He tortures him. He chokes him to death. He almost chokes him to death and tortures him. And everyone's like, "How's he getting information?" And I got it. And Obi-Wan just looks at him and says nothing. I'm like, that's your student. You should be warning him, like, "Hey, what did you do? We
Yeah.
need to talk about this."
They're like, hey,
They
you know
ignored
what?
it.
We're gonna put this in a box, throw it in the ocean. We'll deal with this later. Yeah, exactly.
Uh, what moments when he was in Mace
Honestly,
Window, it makes me in like there was moments that I see like the Clone Wars. Why I think they try to show like the Jedi were corrupt in a lot of ways, and
oh
there
no,
and then when what happened?
no, no. I was gonna say I love that's kind of the we're seeing in the prequel series or prequel trilogy, pardon me, and a lot of prequel material. We're seeing the apex, right? We're seeing like the tipping point of their power, and they're not humble anymore. They're cocky. They feel sure of what their right is the only way, and that
I'll
shows.
say I'll say this. That wasn't their apex. That was them that was them on a dying horse. Because I will say this right now. There's a speech in one of the comics. I know it's Palpatine. I think it was either prequel series or whatever.
Mm,
But he talked about how the Jedi had become complacent in the thousands of years since the last great Sith War. That they become complacent, they become arrogant, and they become lazy. That he called them out. He called them lazy, arrogant, foolhardy, and self-bloated. They were a corpse that I remember it was such a dark way to say, but they were a corpse that they didn't realize they were a corpse because they built monuments upon their enemy's temple, which became their undoing. I remember that quote because of the fact he openly said they put a monument on top of our temple. Those fools basically made my job easy because that's how him and Plagueis were corrupting the Jedi slowly. Was through the stiff temple that's underneath the Jedi temple on Coruscant.
see, yeah, and that's the thing too. Like I love that attention to detail, like to plot the downfall, right, and talk about the hubris, because even though they're like, oh, we don't have emotion, we don't have this, like they have this inert
Oh,
like
they
hubris
have
to
their
them. Yeah, and
yeah.
we, and it's funny to bring it to like a uh, Judeo-Christian sense, like there's that hubris within, like our religion, like you see that, and you're like, no, my way is the right way. There's no other God. There's no other this, no other. How dare you believe these things? And that how many wars
I
has that
hate to,
caught? And that's
I
such an
hate to say it.
allegory.
We're basically seeing the rise of the Roman Empire, Holy Roman Empire, how they became so dogmatic and so like pushing for Christianity that they gave the rise to Muslims, they gave the rise to like all these other groups because of the fact that people wanted to get away from the religion because of how corrupt it became.
Exactly, and
Same thing with the Jedi. We see it with a good example is Dooku. Best we get his backstory. We find out Dooku's from a rich family who gave him up because of the fact they had his family had ties to Coruscant and they had ties to the Jedi. And that when you find out that Dooku openly thought that the idea that the Sith were just gone because he looked up the history of the Sith, he said, "Nah, these guys do not stay down. They come back,
hmm
and when they come back, it's with a force." The first time we dealt with the Sith, we defeated them. Then we had Exar Kun. Then they came back with the Empire, and then we defeated them. And then they came back and destroyed our temple. They're gonna keep coming back. And everyone said, "No, you're full. They're dead." Look what happened. When Qui Gon Jinn died, Dooku became like, "Nope, the Jedi is clearly corrupt because they could not see my student die, and they're focusing on this this boy that's gonna be the future." He doesn't believe that because he sees the idea of like we are corrupt because
Yeah,
Dooku came from royalty, he came from money. He was raised around it. He knows. He went back to his home planet multiple times, and he saw how his family lived. He didn't like it, but he still has ties to politics and that. But then you also see the times that he talks about, like when he becomes corrupt and becomes a Sith, he starts becoming this very thing he was trying to fight against.
yeah,
Many times he practiced slavery. Many times he practiced controlling people. And it's kind of funny when you see him in the recent Star Wars. I think it's the Star Wars Legends or Star Wars the recent like mini episodes where they had the young Clone Wars Dooku, and you see him and how he's like you kind of feel bad for the guy
Oh,
because you
are you
realize
talking
he's
about like
trying
the
to.
little series where like you see Ahsoka as a baby? Yeah, yeah,
Yes, he took the baby. You see Dooku as a young Jedi
yeah. Hmm.
apprentice, like Jedi Knight, and then you see that many times he tries to. You see the corruption because the one guy told him when he was on that planet, "I don't care if you're a Jedi. I'll keep doing this because you Jedi do nothing. You Jedi just came in here flexing your power and leave." And what did Dooku do? He realized he's not wrong. And then when Qui-Gon Jinn died, he realized, yeah, the Jedi are failing us, and we're failing it.
Okay.
And it's
Uh,
just funny how you see how later on.
yeah. So I want to transition to kind of like the tail end of the episode. I did put a call out, and I want to ask you some questions as well.
Mhm.
So I put a call out on Twitter. I mean, we only had one person. But shout out to Jacob. I love Jacob though. Thank God for him. He commented. But
Okay.
I put out
So
here. I was like, hey, you and me were doing this podcast. And so I have a few questions. I'll start with this first. What is your favorite Star Wars movie and why?
my favorite Star Wars movie. Ooh. Honestly, it it's difficult to say, but and you're gonna be shocked by when I say this, but Force Awakens.
Okay. Okay.
Force Awakens is probably one of my favorites because it had elements of all the movies.
Mm-hmm.
It had the element of the Jedi, it had elements of Return of the Jedi. It had elements of New Hope. It had elements of the prequel series was Phantom Menace. When we saw what you call it pull out his lightsaber, and you see it's different. How he just basically had that ability to stop that blaster bolt. Like, oh, he's different. When Kylo Ren stopped that blaster bolt, and then you see his lightsaber, how it's a crossguard get like that old medieval sword style. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's like reminds me of Maul. And then you have like the Clone Wars when you see like all like the stormtroopers how they actually did damage in the
Mm-hmm.
in Force Awakens. They were shooting, they were destroying, they were giving the heroes a hard time. That reminded me of Clone Wars when you just see like the Attack of the Clones when they start mowing down the Geonosis. Ocean. And then you had Revenge of the Sith when you see that fight with Rey and how Kylo was beating the shit out of both of them. Like he's wrecking
Yeah.
them. And you had Starkiller Base, which had the moment of Empire Strikes Back and not Empire Strikes Back, but the end of New Hope where you had the Death Star and you had Return of the Jedi with Death Star, and then you had I think it was in this Force Awakens when you had Snow. You saw Snow and how he was like the bad. You felt like he was the bad guy. He's the new Emperor. It had all the like the movie had so much of the good and not as much of the bad. Because when I really watched that, I'm like, no, it kind of makes sense. Finn's like basically programmed. What stopped him was the idea of seeing blood on his face and him like realizing like, oh shit, I just killed someone. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what did I do? What am I doing here? At that moment, you realize he's probably not doing this because he wants to. Because many times you see him, Finn never shot anybody, and he shot the gun, but he didn't really hit anybody because he didn't want to. But when he saw that person die in front of him because he did nothing, he realized I'm wearing the armor that kills the guy. I'm one of these bad guys. I can't do this anymore. I'm broken.
Yeah, and you could question and see that it could be the Force reaching out to him, since we know by the end of the trilogy he is Force sensitive in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, yeah. It could have
They
been.
fumbled the ball on
Another thing
that
is
one, but yeah.
that area apparently was supposed to be a bunch of like force sensitive people that Luke knew or knew about Luke or something,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd help them get over things or try to help them. And that person and that guy basically tried to help him. I guess tried to clear his mind because then you see him just open his eyes like, "What the hell am I doing?"
Yeah.
You could have that moment.
Yeah, literally
Uh,
at that moment it could be the Force awakening in him, like that kind of plays with it.
it did a lot,
So that's your
and
favorite movie. Do
that's
you
what my favorite.
Okay. Do you outside of the movies, do you have like a favorite piece of media, whether it be comic, game, like anything specific you want to call out?
Yeah, the Vader comics are one of my favorite shows. How broken this dude
Oh,
is.
the more recent
This
like
man,
Marvel
the
ones?
recent Marvel like Star like the first when they first came out, they were kind of eh. When you
Yeah.
had the Vader comic, and then you had the solo series, like the series where Vader like just after Return New Hope
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
Death Star blows up for them. and also the fact that he has to deal with the fact that this guy just kicked him, like Palpatine is like trying to replace him. Like all these aspects of Vader, great.
Yeah, I love.
Uh,
There's a moment. There's two moments. I think I. Oh no. I was gonna say there's one moment specifically in that series that I love is I believe is in the main Star Wars series when they relaunched. You know, like you say, it takes place right
yeah,
after A New Hope when Vader gets the knowledge of who destroyed the Death Star, and he's like,
yeah.
"Yeah, what was his name?"
And
He's like, "I believe his last name was Skywalker," and
he
then
said,
he
he
leaves,
said,
and the
he said,
glass just cracks.
yes, when Boba Fett, I think it was Boba Fett, he says, "Yeah, I know the name of it. The kid's name is Luke Skywalker." And you see Vader just, and then you see him leave. He says, "Leave." He's like, "All right." And then you just see the whole room just crack. Like he got so angry hearing that name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh,
Yep.
my favorite, honestly, my favorite scene in that same comic is when I think later issues when Vader is surrounded by all those rebels, and he's
Oh my
surrounded,
god, yeah.
like X-wing fighting everything, and he just stands there defiantly. They said, "Lord Vader, please lower your weapons and be surrendered." And he says, "You are surrounded." And his first reaction is he pulls out lights. Says, "All I see is fear and dead men," and just starts destroying them.
Oh my
Like
god,
he
yeah.
does not even care. When Vader is at his peak anger, he is a monster, and
Yep.
that's the best. He's the boogeyman. He is the devil that no one wants to
He's
fight.
Jason Voorhees, yeah, as like
A
a Sith.
good example is Fallen Order. When you fight Vader,
Oh my
he has
god.
no felp.
What
He has
a
no help.
surprise. That's a great moment.
He comes down. I love to see. This is my favorite, honestly, the favorite moment in gaming. I can't say is he comes. You can hear him too
Yeah.
breathing at one point. All you hear is dun dun dun. And I love Trilla's face because she hears it. She's like,
Yeah,
no, and she gets so
her
scared.
fear
She
immediately
gets
you're
so
like you're thrown off. You're
scared.
like, what the fuck?
And then you're thinking like, is he? And then you're people say like, is he force gripping her? Like, no. Her fear of him is so great. She's standing at attention of this
Mm-hmm.
man. She hears him so bad, like a drill sergeant. She's standing at attention, ready to die. She knows. And you hear he walks closer, and then the old school Annie's sins, sins plays has that new that choir that plays like, oh wait, whoa, oh, I get goosebumps. And then you hear
I'm
the
getting goosebumps right now, actually talking about it, yeah.
you hear the and you hear Vader's theme song play at the same time. You're like, oh no. And he just kills Trilla and throws Sierra. And he's like, uh oh, I gotta fight this guy. All right,
Yo.
let's go. And then you hit him, and he blocks it. You're like, uh oh. And he just grips you up like you're nothing. And you're
I
like,
legit
oh, I'm
tried to
dead.
fight him. I was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to fight him," and I was like, "No, you're not supposed to fight him. No,
You can't.
you can't fight him." And I was like, oh my god."
You are not. You're not Galen Merrick. You're not Star Killer. You are a weak baby scrub. And this is the big boy. And he came to play.
Exactly, exactly. That's a
That is my
absolute great
favorite
moment.
moment. That is a
Um,
great moment for Star Wars history. I'm sorry, that's the best.
no,
There's
no,
nothing else to top.
that's fine. So then, uh, two more questions, then I'll give my answers, and we'll move on to community answers. Next question is, what is your favorite Star Wars, whether it be figure, statue, play set? What would it be, action figure wise?
I didn't really have like I'll say this. I was into G.I. Joes as a kid. Wasn't
Oh,
into the
that's your
Star
dad.
Wars
Yeah.
like yeah, that can that no dad basically now into like the Star Wars stuff. My favorite toy would have to be my favorite toy wise would have to be what was it? It was a Millennium Falcon that I always wanted as a kid, but it was too expensive. The place that he had the two stormtroopers and he had Han and Chewie, and you can open it up. I saw it as a kid. I always wanted it as a kid. I always wanted it, but I couldn't get it.
I know exactly which
But
one you're talking about. It's like a bigger one than
yeah,
even we had in the '90s. Like it was a bigger version of that. It was
huge.
huge.
It's the size of my coffee table. It's big. It's huge. Yeah, that was that. That's probably my favorite. Now it probably has to be like the new lightsabers that are coming out. The ability to customize your own lightsaber. The fact that they're going to start selling like pieces of lightsabers you can make so you can make your crazy customizations. That's a great thing I love now,
Yeah,
especially.
my wallet's already afraid for October when your dad takes me to Orlando.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah. I already spent a few dollars just for the trip itself. Now I can't imagine like that day is going to be insane. And I'm drinking blue milk. That's like the first thing I'm doing. I'm probably gonna need it too. It's probably gonna be hot as shit. And
Oh,
then
it's not that bad.
October,
It's
yeah,
a little
not too,
humid.
nah, I won't be too bad. Yeah. And then finally, I wanna ask this question, then I'll give my answers. What is your favorite lightsaber, or
I
whose
knew this
should I
was
say?
I knew this was coming, and I have to be honest. It's a lightsaber that has not been talked about a lot, and that is Revan slash Starkiller's lightsaber design.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, if you look up the original Starkiller when he became, if spoilers for Force Unleashed, he hasn't played the game for like 20 years almost now. There's a light when you become at the end of the game, you become a Sith Lord. If you buy the DLC that came out later, his lightsaber has a weird design that has like it's slightly curved, so it has like the end of it different, and has prong at the end. That's also the same kind of lightsaber that Revan, the OG from KOTOR and like KOTOR and Old Republic, his lightsaber design is like that. It has a like prong when he's Sith. I love that design, especially because of the fact that in canon it's confirmed Starkiller's lightsaber isn't red, it is black
Mm-hmm.
because how corrupt he is.
Yep.
That's why I love that lightsaber. That's why I love that and the dark saber. That color is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so cool. So for
I,
me, I would for let me see. What was the first question? Was for favorite movie, right? I would have to go with Rogue One.
I forgot. I would forget about Rogue. You know what? You know why? You know why I forgot about Rogue One?
Yeah.
Because it was followed up by Solo. I don't want to think about. I was,
Solo. We'll talk off air about Solo one day when we're together, just shooting the shit. But
yeah,
I don't like a lot of Solo. Donald Glover's the best
that's my
part of that.
God was great. The person who played Han did a great job. I don't care what anyone says. He did what he could.
Yeah, he did.
It's hard beating. It's hard matching Harrison Ford's swagger.
That's that Hayden Christensen thing. Like he's given a direction, he's got to follow.
Yeah, and what my issue was, it didn't know whether to be a heist movie, an origin movie, or a preparation movie for the next movie. That's what it felt like. It felt like it
Yeah,
was trying to be three movies at the same time. It felt
yeah,
rushed.
and that's probably because Lord and Miller were taken off the movie so early on. It feels
Yeah,
still
that's
joint.
true.
It's similar to the first Ant-Man movie where like Peyton Reed takes over. It's like, all right, this is a competent movie, but like it's not you're taking over someone's vision and kind of making it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Howard. Yeah,
But,
I mean he took the reins of that, and damn, you know I forgot that Ron Howard until this moment that Ron Howard directed that. He ended up doing that, and then
yeah,
Bryce Dallas has like the best episodes of Mandalorian. That father daughter duo,
yeah,
man, they're killing it.
they're doing
Um,
it. But
that's probably my favorite movie. I think Rogue One. I love me some space Latinos. I love seeing us in
yeah,
space. Um,
you know what? You know what?
yeah.
Also, I didn't like Rogue One because I knew they were gonna die. I
Ah,
think because it had that aspect of I know it's going to end badly because everyone said this is how they get the Death Star plans. I'm like, I remember that part when Mon Mothma's like, we lost a lot of good men trying to get this information.
yeah,
No one survived this. And you're like, oh damn. And
yeah.
then we're going, oh, this is great. It's a heist movie. Like, oh wait, no, they're dead. This is. I think the real reason why you like it so much because of the fact of Vader scene. Vader scene elevated that movie so
Well,
much.
it's funny because I went into it as well. Like I was a little more hyped than I think the general public for Rogue One because someone who does a lot of kind of funny content. He's also written in a lot of movies. Gary Whitta is one of the
Yeah.
writers on there, and so I was really hyped for it because of that. I'm like, oh, dude, he did Star Wars. Like, I can't wait. And I that was the only thing that was kind of holding me back initially. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna die. Like, how prequel movies are always difficult. Like, how do you get there to the end? You know, we already know the ending. What makes this important? And they did a amazing job with selling you on Andor, on everyone's character, Saw Gerrera. Like everyone was so fleshed out, well done. Donnie Yen in a Star Wars movie, like my favorite martial artist, like that is just great, dude.
Like I said, like, oh, the reason why I because I knew and died. it doesn't mean I didn't hate it. No, I
Yeah.
love Force Awakens because of the fact that I love the I love Star Wars as like the Jedi or the fights. I love that. Rogue One is probably second, only because of the fact of I thought of it because of the fact that when I think of Rogue One, I think of it as this is not a Jedi thing, this is not a Sith thing. This is the This is the remnants of the Resistance trying to fight the Empire,
Hmm.
and they are losing. This is basically the Terminator salvation of like we are losing this battle. We have no allies. We're fucked. This is
Hmm.
could save us.
Yeah.
It's that last effort of we get this. We took the scales in our favor. That's what I felt like this movie was not a Star Wars movie. It kind of felt like a space. If it wasn't Star Wars, if this someone like the whole series differently, like made it like any kind of sci-fi or whatever, I would love this movie 100% because of the fact that it felt less like a Star Wars movie and more like this is basically the rebellion at its most weakest, but at its most potential.
Yeah.
That's what it felt. It felt like a
It's
rebellion
the
movie. It
tipping
felt less
point
like
of whether they're gonna can they do this? Can they really get this done? Like, can
yeah,
they actually do it? Yeah, I do that. I
yeah.
love that specifically. For favorite piece of media, I'm trying to think. My favorite piece of Star Wars media outside of the movies, I want to say Fallen Order. I know it's more recent, but I was just so shocked of how good that was. I really all the performances are amazing, and then especially like we said that ending. It's so funny when you surprise Vader at the end of a movie or a piece of media. You're like, oh shit, what? Shit's about to get real. I really enjoyed
They,
that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that specifically. I think that in Mandalorian, it's fun to see
yeah,
like
Mandalorian's great, but
that side, like what's going on in the rest of the history, the rest of the universe.
mm-hmm.
I do like that, so I would have to say those two for piece of media. Figure, I've been waiting to say this one for a while. So you are very young. I think this came out a year before you were born. There was so we had all what they're called legacy now is the old extended
Yeah,
universe.
yeah,
So during the old extended universe, there was different sections like, oh, so we have Anakin Skywalker, right, or Anakin Solo and stuff like that. You have all those stories going on. They introduced a new scoundrel around 1996 with a book, figures, and a game for Nintendo 64, and they were all it was a complete rollout. His name is Dash Rendar. Dash Rendar is supposed to
oh my
be
god,
yeah. Dash Rendar is supposed to be like an associate of like Han Solo. So Shadow of the
yeah, he
Empire
was,
is a book, a
yeah,
game, and a series of figures that came out around this time. And I want to look this up, and I don't know, like, just in case anyone just saw anything quickly for a moment. I just messed up the feed for a second, but I want to.
but
What's Dash Rendar's ship? That's what I want to know. What's the name of it? It is called the Outrider. The Outrider is the coolest goddamn toy I've ever owned in my life. Like the coolest thing. I absolutely love, and you get Dash with it. And I got it for Christmas one year from my mom and her partner, and I was enamored. And it's so cool. The toy it almost looks like the Falcon, but it's like a single pilot. It's like a smaller Falcon basically, and in the middle it would tilt. So you had the ship like this, but then the cockpit would be this way, right? And you could turn the cockpit and it'd be this way. And he had guns on the bottom or on the side. It made no sense. It was so goddamn cool. I
I think
loved
my
it.
I think if I'm honest, my favorite ship has to be Slave One. I'm sorry. The
No,
Slave
it's a
One ship
cool
is
one.
probably my favorite ship. Nothing can beat that. I know that I've seen Dash's ship before,
Yeah.
but Slave One is so cool because of the fact that it is a ship that can take damage, and it is a fast ship. It is a very deadly ship, and it's designed for combat. I love the ship so
Yeah,
much.
it's such a unique one in that I was always a fan of other than the Outrider, which I will praise and I wish it was canon almost in some way, shape, or form. I bet you it is, or it could be in the future. You never know. I
I
also am a
mean,
huge fan of the Y wing. I love the Y wing. I don't know why either. I don't know why, and I love the Y wing.
because the way it looks different. It's not your usual ship. It looks like it's called Y because it looks like Y, but reality, it looks like a ship that, honest to God, if you had that ship like a bunch of ships, it looks like it's probably like a maintenance ship.
Mm-hmm.
They retrofit it. It reminds you like that resistance look of like this is a ship that was designed for
like that like this end is supposed to like you can't see me, but for anyone watching, like the end is supposed to like pick up like a carrier, like cargo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like that. So yeah, that's funny enough. That wasn't a question, but I didn't even think about. I only have so many characters on Twitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have to be my favorite figure, and then both ship as well, the Outrider.
Yeah.
With I want to say my favorite saber. It's going to sound very plain, but I gotta go Luke's green one.
Yeah.
That felt
No,
like
that's
such
classic.
a full circle moment. And you own it. You own it. I know that.
I own it because my dad gave it to me as a gift.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it right
Yeah,
now.
grab it,
One
grab it.
second.
I'll keep talking. Yeah, I absolutely love Luke's saber itself. I just finally seeing Luke as a Jedi Knight, and yeah, here it is. Yeah, this is
Shouts out to
all.
my pop. Love you, Dad. Thank you for this gift. I always love it. You know
That
I
was
do.
a good gift. Yeah. I how much was it
He
again?
got he got this the same time he got Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
This was the gift that he told Mom about. He didn't tell Mom about the other one.
He doesn't tell your mom a lot of stuff.
Well, because Mom
Plausible
would be mad.
deniability. I don't know what my sister would do to him. I don't know where bodies will be hidden. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, there
I
you go.
love this. This is the beauty. This is from the Star Wars when it I think around the same time it came out. Dad went down there the same time it started because of it was Halloween Horrors. They just opened around the same time.
Yeah.
Dad went down there like months after it opened because he knew it was gonna be packed to shit.
Yeah, I
So
think
when
Shakia
when it
hooked him
opened
up.
up,
Shout out to Shakia, by the way.
yeah, you can see this is like the tip is. I got the other tip, but it's not point because I don't have the blade on me.
Nah, that
But
I like
this
that.
is like
How it is.
it's movie. But you can tell it's like the movie prop they kind of used.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It is heavy.
That's
My fiance grabbed. Oh, it's got weight to it. Kylo Ren's is heavy.
It is.
Kylo Ren's like,
yeah.
oh god.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like it's funny, at least design. I always like this one just because it felt special to see Luke finally achieve what he wanted. So it's like a moment / like saber design. But for me,
the more I look at this, the more I see elements of Obi-Wan's lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber clearly, and then just Luke's design.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty that comes with that. Is you can see it's storytelling with finer details, not necessarily like told to you, not spoken. Like you can just tell by the what's going on with the saber itself, and that's correct. I also it's funny, not that I to feel the weight of it. Like when you gave it to me to hold it, I was like, wow, man, like this is kind of crazy that like the weight of it, and then as well. I'm trying to think because your dad has Cal Kestis.
Both.
We're not supposed to talk about that out loud.
Mom don't watch this. She's fine.
Fair, that's true. Now this is the one she watches. She's like, "Oh, my son and my favorite brother on there." I'm claiming myself as a favorite brother. I'm not the prettiest. That's Jimmy.
Yeah,
and I'm not the smoothest. That's Ricky. I'm the funnest.
You're the baby.
Yeah, exactly. I am the baby. But yeah, she hears this. He's dead. But yeah, Cal's. It was surprising how heavy it is, and then I can't imagine because your dad has the original from Galaxy's Edge. It has like the centerpiece that opens, and you can, if you buy two, you can connect them. Like, Jesus, man, like Cal's swinging two of these around, dude. Like that, and that makes you think of Maul. That makes you think of all this, like the physicality, the heft to it is really impressive. I would assume like obviously it is a prop, it has batteries on and stuff, but in my head I think I would equate that's canon. Whatever the heft of Luke's saber is the heft of what it is in story,
Well, if I remember correctly, in canon, when anyone picks up a lightsaber, they kind of joke about how do you swing this thing? It's kind of heavy and bulky.
Yeah.
Like,
and even when you look at the dark saber itself, like seeing, I mean, Bo handles it so perfectly, but yeah, and there's also lore behind that as well. But
yeah, well, lore behind that is the fact that it's the blade is connected to the Force in a weird way because it's neither good nor evil. It's a neutral blade, but it feels its wielder. If you're not worthy to wield it, as if your body, you feel it when you wield that thing, it feels like a heavy sword. But when you wield it like a master, like when Kanan picked it up in Rebels, he picked it up. He felt like you could tell like there's no weight to it. It felt like a piece of metal to him. And he wielded it like it was nothing.
Same thing with Bo. When Bo has it in her hands, like she is.
It's but there's many
deadly
times you
with
see her like kind of like, oh, this is kind of heavy. When Mando picks it up and he uses it, you could feel like it is like a broadsword to him. It's so heavy.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that, and yeah, I think that would be it. That's the only thing I could think of. Like that would be like my favorite saber. That's why I keep going back to. I also like a special shout out to Rey's. It's so briefly shown in that movie. Like then obviously there's books you can look it up and how it looks, and it does look really cool when you see the fine details of it, like the staff turning into the blade.
Yeah.
The mechanism to turn it on is very interesting as well to me.
It seems like I said, it's that Junkrat idea. Like she would make this. This is her blade. It feels good to her.
It feels.
I actually do want you to look.
Perfect.
I actually kind of want you to look up Starkiller's lightsaber because I want you to show what I'm trying. The idea of the look of it. It is a very unique look.
This is what when we're done because I'm not gonna put it on screen because I'm not that technically sound yet. Do me a favor and text me this because I'll try to at least think of putting it in the post. But yeah, man, I love that. I love that saber so much. And then, I want to wrap this up real quick at the end here. I wanted to, like I said, I put the call out here, and we have OM Jesus, the homie Jacob from Odd Valley Games and Neon Pocket Dimension, which you've guessed it on. You've done their D&D thing.
I've been on there a couple times. I've done the D&D. I talked about mostly. I've done D&D on like the tabletop, which that's my thing. I'm big on lore. I'm big on tabletop. I'm big on just like character based idea, which is why you notice like I talk about the characters. I love characters more than the actors. Like, I'll say this like, hey, Christian, yeah, that's cool, but I love the person who writes the character. I'll probably talk to Dave Filoni forever. Like I will never like I'll talk to the lore guy so badly. Like I want to know lore. Give me more information.
I'm that way, and that's why I love. I can find story in most stuff, and then I always say with my video game reviews.
That's one of the reasons why I can't play multiplayer games. Honest to God, I can't get into it because there's nothing for me to grab at, and I'm like,
I need something. Yeah, I need.
My fiance.
Yeah, I do. I do need something with it. No, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, I want to shout out OM Jesus. If you're a Kind of Funny best friend and you're in Twitch chat every day with Kind of Funny Games Daily, you've seen that name. He's awesome. Jacob's awesome. But I put the word out. What are your favorite memories and everything? And Jacob put up, when I was growing up, I never had cable or even antenna channels in my room, so I always had to watch movies with my VHS player. Empire Strikes Back is one of the few movies I would fall asleep to every single night. It still remains my favorite Star Wars movie. Heart. And then #May the 4th be with you. And also with you because I'm Christian and I love Star Wars. Yeah, no, that's such a great and beautiful memory with that because it's so funny to kind of wrap up the episode proper. That's kind of what I want these offshoots of the main podcast, like these meaning of episodes to be, where we have this like connection to this piece of media, or this like nerddom that is special and feels like close to us, right? Like what I've mentioned with the Superman, the meaning of Superman episode, like how I didn't learn family lessons and like how to be a good person from my mom.
I watched. I was crying watching that. Honestly, God.
I always joke around that I was raised by Mom, Pa Kent, and Aunt May, and that medium is so perfect and so genuinely beautiful to have like that, and you can grab that from nerddom. I've adorned my body, with multiple like different tattoos, and they have meaning. They're not just Nightwing because I'm a fucking nerd. I am a fucking nerd. Don't get me wrong. It's in the name, but it also like the stuff means so much to me. And then
you see me when I talk about comics, like I'm like you, dude. Have no idea how angry I am with the Spider-Man comic right now. Like I'm fuming.
Yeah, we had to talk about that later because I'm not a fan of it either.
You know me when it comes to comics. I love characters. I love lore. I love the idea. I love you. You heard me like try to make a comic book character. Mm-hmm. I have like 5 of them because I love comics. I love characters. I love ideas. You can do so much. It's just that bad writers take it over and they spoil it so badly. and this Spider-Man comic recently is
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it's so bad. You know, usually when that happens, it's like people are like, oh, defending it. There's no one defending this comic, how bad it is. Like there are people on TikTok, like I follow, that are like, you gotta watch the read comic, you gotta wait for it. It's not that bad. This one guy, I watch. He defended the last Spider-Man because it was bad too. Like the previous one where it was Ben Riley taking over for
Oh
Peter,
yes, 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 yes.
and how they like Ben Riley and the Peter, and then he had the chasm whole thing. Like he kind of like had his moment, but it was not that bad. It wasn't that bad. He was like, I hate this. This is horrible. I'm done with Marvel. Like he hates it so bad. I'm like, damn, man.
Yeah, I have my
I'm so
issues.
glad I didn't read it.
Yeah,
I'm so
I've
glad.
been reading it every month. We'll talk about it off air, but yeah, I have my issues with it, which is it's surprising that I. Yeah, we'll talk about it off air because I don't want to get in a tangent too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
we have this
screaming at each
connection.
other for a minute.
Exactly right. I love that with Star Wars, there's this community that is so. There are Star Wars fans that get a bad rap. That give the
There's just
fandom
gonna be fans that give. There's gonna be fans of anything that's given a bad rap.
exactly. Yeah,
I'll say this: Star Wars has the most toxic. Star Wars, My Hero, and Naruto has some toxic fans. I'll say that. I'll
yeah,
openly say it.
I will agree. I will
But
agree.
there's so many people in the community that fight against this. Whether it's the actors like Sam Witwer, Freddie Prinze Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
even Benjamin Burley, who, if you don't know who that is, that's Breaking Benjamin's lead singer, is a
Yeah,
huge Star Wars fan.
yeah,
He
he is.
calls out the whole crap.
Mm-hmm.
There's people like that. You have Dave Filoni, who tries to fix the errors of the mistakes of the past, tries to make everything easy for people. Jon Favreau as well is a huge Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Pedro
you have
obviously as well. Yeah, like
Pedro loves the series now. He fell in love with it. Like you have people who love the series so much and they defend it. They don't defend it as the fact of like they think that everything's right about it. No, they'll defend like, hey, it's bad, but please stop being a bad person. There are moments about
yeah.
this we can be good people about it. That's what I love.
Yeah, and one of my favorite communities on the internet out there. I'll have to introduce you to them. I've talked about them quite a bit on Twitter, and they are amazing people. They're called Shared Screens. I've been on some of their content before.
I've seen a bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Rumblepack, I love him to death, man. He's a huge Star Wars nerd. I love talking Star Wars with him. They have their own Discord channel where they just shoot the shit about Star Wars, and I love it so much. And they're so respectful. It's really nice too, and it's so cool. They also have a podcast called "This Is a Waypoint." I wanted to throw this out there because they're awesome. Where they talk about Star Wars media, it's along with like other friends from the Aaron Roots and stuff like that. But they're so welcoming and they're such a great community to have, and they to me are what like Star Wars fandom is really. Like honestly, like Chris and Alec and Aaron and Chance and everyone like that in that group. And I mentioned too as well Christian Buckley from Tech Raptor, Kevin Diaz from PlayStation Source. Like those are who Star Wars fans are. Just like this love, this hypeness around it. Like when you see cool moments, which I forgot to even mention my cool moments. I'll do it real quick. Vader in Rogue One, and the parallel, which is Luke in Mandalorian. Those two parallel scenes where they play out the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite. But my favorite in Star Wars media would, if I had to do media in general, like all around my favorite moment, it would have to be like that again. That scene when Vader comes down from the rafters above, right when Trilla is like scared shitless, is my favorite because we see this is not to play around with.
Yeah.
This is where you get the big boy boots. I love that scene, and I think my other favorite scene will probably have to be another villain scene is when Palpatine wrecks Maul and Savage Opress like they're nothing.
Oh, I can't. I've heard of this, and I can't wait to see it when it comes time.
Shit, yeah. I'm sorry for spoiling.
No. Listen, the series is over, and I've actually seen clips. I've never seen it full of it on. So, yeah, I can't wait. I've already the little bit I've seen. I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. But yeah, like it's so cool when you have people like I said, Shared Screens, Christian, Kevin, and stuff like that who love this medium and they champion it. And yeah, it's not perfect and there's stuff you don't like, and that's fine. That's okay. Hey, listen, like I really don't like I don't like Clone Wars. I don't, but that's fine. Or Attack of the Clones. I don't like it. That's fine. That's not the end of the world.
You heard me talk about Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones is like it's not the best movie. I'll skip a lot of it, But my favorite scenes are like when you see those moments of when the people try or the like Mace Windu fighting Jango
Django,
Fett.
yeah.
Great scene. Obi-Wan trying to figure out who made the clones, who purchased them, what's going on. Anakin basically losing, get his ass handed to him, and realizing he is not top shit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda and Dooku fighting, and you see them just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This movement, and you realize these are what happens when true masters fight. It is not a wimpy fight. No, it is a brawl.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And when we can, as a community and as a fandom, can like go around those and find like-minded people and be like, just kind of champion something to a certain degree and be excited, and that hypeness that comes with it's something special. And I feel like for so many of us too, Star Wars is something you get I feel like so many people find as a child, right? You find it as a child, whether it be the original trilogy for me on reruns and like syndication, whether it be the prequel trilogy for you, and then there's some kid out there who watched the sequel trilogies and those are their touchstones, and then sees everything else and like, dude, Star Wars is fucking awesome, man. And that wonderment, that childlike wonderment that keeps with you, even like, look, I mean, me and your dad are going down, and like, he's like 80, whatever he made, however, he's like 90, right? Like, I don't know how old your dad is.
Damn, I'm not that old too now. Dad turns 50. Dad's 50, probably 51. So
that's right.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
he's 51.
Like Dad was that around during the 70s, 80s, and 90s, so he saw a lot of Star Wars media.
Exactly,
He grew up.
Yeah, and to still have that fandom as an adult, and me and him are about to go
you
down to
Dad,
Orlando, yeah, and just nerd out.
Dad, he's one of those fans that will watch it, he'll judge it on his way it is, and he'll it's not that bad. But he point out like the fact that he likes Last Jedi because he said that it was different, but it felt like they had too much with it. Like he said, it was too much in one movie. They should have spaced it out. But he said The Force Awakens. First watch it, yeah, great. Second time watching it, he's like, I saw it's just a copy of New Hope. That's it. He calls out, but will he watch it? Yes, he'll watch it because he likes to enjoy it. He doesn't like to put his opinions out there. He it's fun. It's whatever.
Yeah, true. And
he's one of those Star Wars fans.
But yeah,
he was surprised by a lot of things. Bad Batch is his favorite. Rebels is his favorite. He loved Rebels.
That's true.
And Clone Wars. He didn't like Clone Wars. He didn't like Clone Wars. He didn't like Ahsoka. Now he loves her. He loves Ahsoka and Ahsoka. He's like, she's great.
I know, man, and like that is the cool thing with Star Wars. To wrap it up here is that you see something as a child, and then as an adult, like me and him both have gray hair now, and we're about to go down with
I'm balding, man. I'm 25 and I'm balding. I got that from genes, though. I can't say.
Fair. That's why I got that little monkey butt in the back. Thanks, Dad.
Dude, I got that from stress and genes. I hate to say it. I'm balding. I got to put my head to the start part. Like that's how it is.
But yeah, me and your dad are about to go down and just nerd out, man, in October. And
you're gonna have fun.
And that's the thing too. And then we have other family member Vanessa who literally just posted photos today of her last trip, down there.
Yeah,
she lives right there, so she's very lucky to do that. She has a very
lucky.
lucrative job as well that she's able to pay and go there all the time. But it's so cool that you can still feel that wonderment and that magic that comes with a lot of things in nerddom. And I think for us, a lot of people who are of our generation and further on hold on to these things because it's like the real world can just be so fucking cruel sometimes. And it's just nice to, lose yourself in a galaxy far, far away, So
another thing I want to talk about when it comes to like fandoms and like media nowadays, like I'll point out like, people love the X-Men comics because of the fact that they felt representation of the fact that they're the weird ones. You're not like you have a reputation when it comes to X-Men, Star Wars representation. I say that when it comes to representation in media, it's not the skin color, it's not the race, it's the character. Because you can have amazing characters. Like you felt great connection with Clark. Typically, he's played by a white guy.
Yeah.
From the Midwest, but you felt connections with him. You feel connections to people who play in it, like those people they are not bad people. There are humans that try to do good things, not trying to be heroes. Like I love characters that don't try to be heroes; they try to be good people. And you can make representation great. You like to hand-fist it in. Finn was a good idea for representation if you did it right. Mace Windu is probably one of the best representations for Star Wars, honestly, when it comes to Black African Americans. What was he? He was straightforward, he was dutiful, and he was honorable. But he
Yeah.
pointed out like there are some things wrong here.
Yeah.
I love his character. Like Mace Windu is my favorite characters for that reason. He points out like something's wrong here. I don't trust this.
Yeah.
And I gotta give it to what you call it, because he went to Mando. He is great. Din Djarin's, oh my god, he's great as an actor. But also Andor. Did you see Andor? I gotta ask.
I saw half of it, and
Dude,
and I loved what I
boy is
watched.
doing-
I loved what I
He's
watched.
doing amazing. Yes, representation. That's good. Yes, I love it.
That's the thing too, man. And they have such a love and for it and stuff. And they in Star Wars, you could do such awesome things too. Your heroes don't have to be these stoic,
Paragon.
perfect. Yeah, they could also
They don't have
be
to be Paragon.
just
They
fucking
could
weird.
be-
Rey's weirdo, man. She's such a weirdo. Luke's a weirdo. Din
Luke-
Djarin is a fucking weirdo, man. And like they're all
Din Djarin is basically that kid that had no friends. I hate
exactly.
To say.
No, for real. He is.
No, he's the kid that had no friends, but a lot of brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Like honestly, God, he has no personal skills, but when he does have personal skills, the people around him. Luke was a kid that had nothing. He had lost everything. He's an orphan who had friends that keep him alive.
Yep.
Rey is an orphan that basically had to survive by herself and talks a lot because of the fact that she doesn't know how to interact with people.
Yeah, like it's
Like
it's
those
just
characters are great. Ahsoka is a cocky kid because of the fact that she knew how to train herself to protect herself. Like those characters you can see. Like Ahsoka's cocky when you first meet her because of the fact that she trained with Plo Koon, trained with other masters.
Mhm.
She trained and she was the best because of the fact that she tried to push herself. She did it because she wanted to be cool. She did it because of the fact that she wanted to show I'm not a kid. Twi'leks are treated like shit in Star Wars. What she do? She shows that I am not Twi'lek. She's I forget what she is. She's not Twi'lek. She's something else.
oh yeah, it's like almost like a
I said
cousin.
Twi'lek because of the fact that it's like it begins with a T, but her race is like considered like she's Socti's like race. Same as Socti. There are not that many Jedi of her race because of the fact that many times they're strong, physically strong, force wise. They're like, remember correctly, their race is weird when it comes to the Force. If I remember correctly, it's a weird thing with the race. I forget because there's not many. They're a lot in canon, but they're not really shown. That's the weird thing.
True, and yeah, and that's like the final thing I wanted to hit with Star Wars is that I and especially became clear when watching Mando this past season, like when he's with oh my god, Carl Weathers' character, I can't think of it, but I remember a friend of mine who's just getting into Star Wars, and she was like, "Why is he so weird with him?" I'm like, "Cause that's his only true friend, really. Like, you know, like he's strange with him because like."
Well, that and Cara Dune, but let's not talk about Gina
Yeah.
Carano.
No. I don't know what she's doing spy stuff, right? That's all we know. No, I'm joking. But yeah, that's the cool thing about that, right? Where you have that, like he's so weird with him and Grogu, and it shows, and it's because he's comfortable, and you could be this weird outsider, and Star Wars is so accepting of that. And I think it's one of the many fandoms, and that's what makes it so everlasting. I think. You know, that's why there's toys. That's why there's movies. That's why there's comics. Obviously, they're cash grabs, but at the same time, it's like it's such an accepting thing that so many of us gravitate toward it, and it's beautiful. So,
look at the games from the Jedi series, the recent Jedi series of games, like peak Star Wars. Everyone loves it.
Yeah, no, true. Yeah,
Some people honestly talk about the Vader comics so much because of the fact that they're such good comics. Like there are a lot of good media that is cash grab. There's a lot of good media that is like cash grab, but is done really good. It's amazing. And then there's like media like again like the games, like the movies, but there's certain media that are like this is done by love. Mandalorian first season was so much love to the series, so much love to lore that it feels so amazing that they got to continue the series. I'm so glad they did.
Yeah, I'm glad too, man. So. Yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to end it right there. So real quick, Sammy, is there anything you wanna shout out? Anyone?
You know what? All I'm gonna say is this: anyone who's watching this, doesn't matter what fandom you're a part of. If you will find people that are gonna treat you just right. That a good example is I'm in the Star Wars, but most of the Warhammer. That is one of the most big open like media I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like Warhammer, the tabletop, the media is so big, so much lore, but it's so open to the idea. Like, oh, you're Warhammer. Well, we got plenty of things from animated comedies to this to that. It's so much. Jump in. We need help. You got all these channels to help you out. Same thing with Star Wars. That if you feel like you're scared to jump into the pool, you don't have to jump in. There's a shallow section for you. There's a deep section for you, and then there is a medium section for you. Do your own pace. Be happy, and remember, it's your hobby. It's you are. It's what you want to do. Don't let anyone else dictate what you like and should not like.
Yeah. That's the best way to end this episode. That's beautiful. Like you said, man. So for Sammy, my lovely nephew, who I love so much, and for me, your doctor recommended dose of nerdiness, Carlos Rodriguez, aka your nerd today. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you always.